Europe is literally overheating. Temperatures have crossed 40 degrees Celsius in seven countries. Schools have shut down, wildfires are spreading, train tracks are ending. People are even sleeping in parks because their homes are too hot. But here's the strange part. Countries like India regularly experience temperatures above 45 degrees Celsius. So why is Europe making global headlines? Is Europe really getting hotter than everyone? Or is something else going on? The answer isn't just climate change. It's a story about history, geography, and cities that were built for a completely different world. Europe was never built for peace. Let's go back a few hundred years. Europe's biggest problem wasn't heat, it was surviving evil winters. So homes were designed to trap warmth. Think thick stone walls, small windows, with insulation, very few hidden fans. And until recently, many homes didn't even have air conditioning. That was perfectly in winter. Today, those same buildings exhaust all day and slowly release it onward. Question, even after the fan goes down, people often don't get the it has very insulated that hasn't accident because the body never gets the chance to cool down. Climate change didn't see it existed. It noticed the time. Now let's talk about climate change. Think of it like rolling a dice. Big waves have always happened, but climate change has changed the law. Imagine replacing a normal diet with one that has three pictures listed on one. You still know other numbers, but pictures become much more likely. That's what's happening with the extreme heat. Scientists say rising greenhouse gases are making people more frequent, hotter, and longer lasting. Then comes something called a heat dome. Now here's something many people have never heard of. A heat dome. Imagine putting a leg on a boiling point. The heat gets trapped underneath. That's exactly what happens in the atmosphere. A strong high pressure system acts like a giant invisible net. It traps hot air. Clouds can't form. The sun keeps heating the ground. The ground heats the air even more. And temperatures keep climbing day after day. Europe's geography makes it worse. Europe has another challenge. Just across the Mediterranean lies the Sahara Desert. When weather patterns shift, towards dry air from North Africa moves into countries like Spain, Italy, Greece, and even France. At the same time, the Mediterranean Sea itself is warming. Warmer seas means warmer air moving inland. So Europe gets it from both directions. Hot air from the desert and warmer air from the sea. Cities are significant. They all sleep too. Now here's something fascinating. Ever noticed villages becoming kingdom much faster after sunset than cities? That's because cities are giant structures. Concrete, grass, roads, parking lots. They absorb heat all day. The religious theory working. Scientists call this the urban heat island. That's why cities like Paris, Madrid, and Rome can stay several degrees hotter than nearby countryside even after dark. And here's another hidden problem. When soil becomes dry after months without rain, it loses its extra cooling ability. Normally, water in the soil evaporates and cools the air, but dry ground can't do that. Instead, almost all the sun's energy goes straight into heating the land, which makes even more heat. It's not just about feeling hot. Extreme heat doesn't just make people uncomfortable. It affects the entire country. Building cracks can expand and last. Roads can soften. Wildfires spread faster. Rivers shrink. And here's something surprising. Many power stations, including some nuclear plants, use river water for cooling. If rivers become too warm or water levels fall too low, some plants have to reduce electricity production. So just when millions of people switch on fans and air conditioners, the electricity supply itself can come under pressure. Farmers also suffer, harvests fall, food prices can rise. Hospitals in more cases of heat stroke and dehydration. This isn't just a weather story anymore. It's a global story. So why is Europe facing some of its worst heat waves ever? It's not because of one single reason. It's climate change, global People eat more likely. Heat domes trapping hot air, the Sahara trending hot winds mode. Warmer heat adding heat. Cities trapping heat overall. And building that would be time for the winter was the past, not the summers of today. Perhaps that's the biggest lesson. Europe isn't just experiencing a heat wave. It's discovering that its cool, low railways are even power systems for built for a climate that no longer exists. And that may be one of the biggest challenges countries around the world will face in the decades ahead.